Son raised by man with Down syndrome has a message for the world. I'm so happy to be back and chatting with you today. Here's a reminder that we all want the same things, but it can be impossible to always make the right choices. People might see folks with disabilities and their families in a negative light. But all that judgment only comes from a place of ignorance and fear, and the way to fight that is to share honest stories with each other and educate ourselves on what we know. Today, we have a truly touching story of a man and his son and the impact they have on those around them. Best employee. In 1984, the world was even more limited in terms of opportunities it afforded to folks with Down syndrome than it is today. But thanks to a program called Job Support, Russell O'Grady of Northmead, Australia found a job at everyone's favorite fast food joint, McDonald's, at the young age of 18. Down syndrome is a chromosomal disorder that is present in about 1 out of every 1,000 births worldwide. It is the result of an extra copy of the 21st chromosome being made during pregnancy and is presented differently in every individual, but typically presents with some developmental and intellectual difficulties, as well as distinct facial features. Some folks with Down syndrome may also have other conditions that can range from mild to severe. As is true for anyone with a disability, folks with Down syndrome can lead fulfilling, productive, and exciting lives with meaningful relationships, careers, and hobbies. However, there are still many misconceptions about Down syndrome, and one young dentist from Syria is eager to share his experience of being raised by a father with Down syndrome and how it has impacted his life. While Russell didn't have any job experience when he started, his work ethic was strong and his personality shining, and it wasn't long before Russell was something of a local legend. Russell is friendly to everyone he meets and is known for his infectious smile, and soon customers were going out of their way to visit the Northmead McDonald's just so they could say hi to their favorite employee. Over the years, Russell worked in many areas of the restaurant, including cleaning, cooking, and customer service. Described by his boss as an extremely hard worker, Russell was also very proud of his workplace and would always show up ready to do the best job he could each day. While Russell was known as an excellent worker, the main reason customers and coworkers loved him so much is because of his amazing personality. No one could walk in the door of that McDonald's without receiving a sunny hello. And Russell's smile can truly light up a room on a cloudy day. Some customers even said that the reason they came to McDonald's every day was just to see Russell. He always seemed to be able to put a positive spin on things, and he always seemed to be smiling and laughing. The fact that he did see his work as anything but fun and an honor added to the fact that he was a great presence to have around. Many people said that they wish they could be as happy and work as hard as Russell. After 32 years of hard work, Russell decided at 50 that it was time for him to say goodbye. He is an avid bowler, and he wanted to set aside more time for that and his busy social schedule. While everyone was sad to see him go, he was sent off with love and affection, and today, even 3 years later, customers still miss seeing his cheer face when they walk in the door. Russell is a great example of how someone with Down syndrome can not only be a valuable team member, but actually might be the most beloved member of the whole team. In fact, in almost all cases, workplaces that have a staff member with Down syndrome are considered more enjoyable places to work, which really speaks to the kind of positivity that a person with Down syndrome can bring to a community. We can't wait to share our final story with you today, as it is definitely an important one. But before we get there, we have another story that shares some very exciting news. A new job. Back in December of 2020, a special someone got a job, and his sister was so proud she shared it with the world. On December 1st, Amy Hyde wrote the tweet, "Thank you for giving my brother a chance in promoting inclusion in the workforce. Jake has Down syndrome, but that doesn't stop him. He loves his new job running packages up to 8 hours per day. That's after working 6 to 10 a.m. every morning at the golf course. I'm so proud of him. Wow, that's a busy guy and a super hard worker." When People magazine interviewed Hyde, she shared that her brother, who is 21, has been working towards living on his own for quite some time, and his new job at UPS is another great step towards making his dream a reality. Not only that, but Jake has been gracefully leaping over hurdles his entire life. When Jake received his Down syndrome diagnosis, his doctor was dismissive of the idea that Jake would be able to live any kind of so-called normal life, showing that even medical professionals often are misinformed about the realities of folks with Down syndrome. Jake has proven over and over again that he has a vibrant life and a fierce sense of determination. He was a member of his high school football team, attended college, and received a perfect score on his driving exam, feats that many people never managed to achieve. Working at UPS will propel Jake even further down the path of his dream, to one day work with some sort of sports team, as sports are his biggest passion. He also wants to get his own place and is putting money aside so he can one day propose to his beautiful girlfriend, Grace, who also has Down syndrome. Jake is kind to everyone he meets and is clearly an incredibly hard worker. While he might feel lucky to be working at UPS, it's clear that the real winner in this scenario is UPS itself. And now, we get to our main story for the day, the best dad. Sadr Isa was born in Syria into a loving family. His parents always made sure he had everything he needed to succeed in life, and most importantly of all, they always made sure he knew how loved he was. But despite Sadr having a very normal childhood and upbringing, there was one thing that was a little different about his experience growing up. Sadr's father has Down syndrome. Now, while there are many stories shared by parents and their children with Down syndrome, there aren't as many shared by children raised by a parent with Down syndrome, even though folks with Down syndrome are just as capable of having and raising children as anyone else. Because there aren't as many stories told from this perspective, Sadr, currently a successful dentistry student, has made it his mission to share his experience and advocate for people with Down syndrome. While many might assume there would be differences in the way Sadr was raised, he wants the world to know that his father, whose name is Jed, has never offered him anything other than love and support his whole life. Jed works at a wheat factory near the village site I grew up in, and he is well liked and regarded by all of his coworkers. Sadr even shared that his family's relationship with the owner of the factory is close to that of a relative, even though there is no actual family relationship. Jed is a hard worker and a bit of a jokester, and brings a smile to the face of all his coworkers, as well as his neighbors and residents of their community. He has always worked hard because he believes in hard work, but most importantly, because he always wanted to make sure that his wife and son were provided for. He wanted to make sure his son was afforded every opportunity in life, and made sure Sadr knew he was capable of being whatever he wanted to be. Sadr's mother and father's relationship is just the kind you would hope for in a couple. They are kind, respectful, and silly with one another, and provided a good example of the kind of care you should show to your partner at all times. One of the most touching things to Sadr is how proud his dad is of his son. Sadr says that whenever Jed introduces Sadr to someone new, he informs them that his son is a doctor, and his pride is evident in his eyes. He is clearly so happy for his son, and hopefully he feels proud of himself as well for everything he was able to help Sadr accomplish as he grew up. Sadr shares his experiences in the hopes that more people will understand that Down syndrome is not something to be feared, and that people with Down syndrome can be wonderful partners, parents, and children. Sometimes people, especially if they do not have or know anyone with a disability, can form ideas about how folks with disabilities live. But it's so important to realize that while each disability is going to present unique challenges, everyone is still capable of living a rewarding life and participating in the regular things that bring us all joy. Today, Sadr continues to spread information about Down syndrome and regularly shares photos and stories of his beloved father on his Instagram page. Hopefully, the stories you've heard today help to break down some misconceptions you might have had before about folks living with Down syndrome. There is still a lot of wrong ideas out there, and it's so important to make sure the information we're getting is reliable and unbiased. Even within the medical community, there has been many missteps, so everyone is constantly learning. It's also important that when you're getting information, you also hear from folks with Down syndrome directly. This video was particularly focused on Sadr, who has a lot to share as a family member, but folks with Down syndrome have their own voices and have a lot to say, so make sure to always go forward with that knowledge. If you or someone in your life has Down syndrome, we'd love to hear about any experiences you'd like to share in the comments below. We are sure that there are lots of beautiful stories out there, and we'd love to know more about them. And for everyone else, make sure you keep it kind. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.